We have been meeting in the past 2 hours. The subject is the directive of Mr. President, an urgent directive on Abuja-Kano highway, the completion. Mr. President is very much worried about the delay of this project, about the delays in completion of this project. First, he directed that palliative measures should be implemented so that all the potholes and the failed sections should first of all be repaired while the permanent works will be going on. And that we have done. In the next 10 days, there will be no pothole between Abuja and Zaria to Kano on the entire stretch of 375 kilometers dualized, which is 750 kilometers. Number one, the history of this project is that it was a project that was in the past administration given for a contract of 155 billion for partial rehabilitation, and the 4 contractors were engaged. Later, somehow, Julius Berger managed to, whatever way, took over the entire stretch and then reviewed the contract to a more permanent rehabilitation for 796 billion. And that is what we inherited. And they had completed about 52% of the project. And so what we inherited is about 240 kilometers of the route. That's 120 kilometers dualized. And these sections occur at Channel 0, about 38 kilometers by 2. And then 82 kilometers within the axis of Kaduna, which is by 2, so it's about 164 kilometers. And then a total of 17.6 kilometers at Kano end, the end of the project. However, we came and looked at the project, and then Berger in September 2023 came to us and requested for a review of the project, and requested that the contract sum then should be 1.5 trillion. And that time the dollar was about 1,000 naira to a dollar. And we looked at it and then we told them it was too high, and they requested for about 3 years completion period. The president was not going to allow that project to progress to 3 years. And so we met with Berger and then discussed with them to unbundle the project. We agreed to unbundle the project. And then we now section the project into 3. The first 38 kilometers to be done on concrete and on tax credit. And then the second one is the 82 kilometers, which is in Kaduna axis, by 2, which is 164 kilometers. And we left it for Berger. And then we also had the 17.6 kilometers, which is at the end of the project in Kano. So we now offered prices to Berger. Berger offered their own prices. We disagreed. We both agreed that we should invite an independent consultant, and we both nominated Julius. Julius came and increased our own price from about 790 something billion to slightly 888 billion. That is for the 3 sections as total contract sum. This includes 391 billion already paid to Berger by the past administration based on the works completed. Now, we went to Government House to discuss this matter since there was a stalemate. And then the National Security Advisor was there, the Honorable Attorney General was there, and the Chief of Staff. And so Berger came, and of course my PAM Secretary was there and some directors. And then we discussed, and they accepted in writing the unit rates and the division of the project into 3 by the consultants, and accepted. And then their own section was said to be 710 billion. And so we were to execute, contract. But when we now knew that then that the dollar had shifted to 1,500 naira per dollar, we called them because we didn't want to sign a contract where we start operating VOP immediately. So we called them and said, let us review the price again. because you have delayed the job. If you had started work as at the time we agreed, then we wouldn't have had this problem. So we reviewed the projects. On our own, we increased it from 710 to 740 billion. Then based on that, and based on the fact that we are even increasing beyond what we jointly agreed, we went to PPP approved, we went to Federal Executive Council, that approved. And so the budget section was supposed to be 740 billion. Of course, if you remove 391 billion, which had been paid, then you find out that it's about 300 and something billion is supposed to be the contraction. And that was about 2.03 billion per kilometer just to do the rehabilitation. Now, the tax credit on concrete, the cost was 1.89 billion per kilometer. So which means that even doing the project on concrete and Beja doing on asphalt, that asphalt was still more expensive than concrete, which should have been the other way around. So when we got approval from FEC, then Beja wrote us and said, we will no longer accept 740, we will accept 903 billion. At this stage, we had spent about 14 months negotiating with Beja on this project. And the people were suffering, kidnapping over there, vehicles spoiling, people spending 7 hours. And then rather, Beja had gone into politics, engaging stakeholders, engaging people to tangentially use a different medium to be attacking us. But the truth remains that this is facts of the project. Now, the issues at stake. Mr. President disapproved the use of tax credit to complete Section 3 and 1. So we have expanded Section 3 to include about 2 kilometers going towards Kogi State from the 0 point, because it is so terrible to see a very terrible road at the point you are trying to start a very wonderful road. So we had to extend 2 kilometers into Kogi and then made the starting point to be 40 kilometers. We also extended at the point in the Kano. When you stop at the Kano point, then you find out that the road from there is so horrible also, and it's going to Amino Kano International Airport. So we have extended there, which is about 5.3 kilometers dualized. So we've also provided solar light in Beja section, in this first section, and then in the end section of Kano. So what we have done now is to proceed to do the directive of the president. He doesn't want tax credit, but he wants the project to be executed with the speed of light. And so we have sent to BPP a request for selective tendering, so that we can look for contractors that have knowledge of concrete to be used in Section 1, and the other 17.6 plus 5.3, 10.6 this time dualized, will be on asphalt. And so we are going to procure that, and we're going to award it so that contractors will do that. And we are very satisfied with the guidance and the interest of Mr. President on this project, so that political jobbers who had no any other job than to be talking about that project can rest. Now, on the issue of Beja, we issued a letter to Beja based on the approval from FEC, and our letter gave them 7 days in line with the due process to accept this 740 billion with conditions. And the condition is that you will finish this project in 14 months as jointly agreed before, and the contract is measurable and not lump sum contract, but rates are fixed within the limit of our condition for paying VOP, and no quantities can be exceeded without following due process of the Federal Ministry of Works. Should the exchange rate go beyond 2,000 naira per dollar, God forbid, the VOP item shall become operative. We also say the contractor must deploy workers and equipment gang in 4 independent sections doing the same work within the alignment for the successful completion of the project effective from 30th October 2024. That the payment of the project shall be on monthly milestone with regard to the balance of money to completion and the length of time to completion. Having been negotiating with Beja since September 2023 on issue relating to the above-named project, we feel the delay tactics by your negotiation, this is our letter to Beja, negotiating team, and we said it must stop. There is so much suffering of Nigerian people on the road. The contractor is kindly requested to regard this offer as final offer effective from 23rd of October 2024 based on the conditions earlier mentioned, which are non-negotiable within 7 days. Federal Minister of Work will be issuing notice of termination and final account after 7 days if the contractor fails to abide by these above mentioned conditions or continue to give conditional acceptance. We sent this letter to them, and Madam Secretary and I went on official assignment in Lagos. And when we came back, we saw a letter received on 30th of October within the time frame of the 7 days. And they said, having gone through the ministry clarification responses, contractor wishes to convey its acceptance of the ministry revised offer of 740.797 billion for the project based on the attached revised prepared payment by the contractor to enable the parties to progress without delay. Now you will find out from 155 billion to 710 to 799 to 1.5 trillion to 710 to 740 billion, and now you are now going back again. It's like we are starting all over, because what they have done is that they have gone into the bill of quantities, and then they have reduced quantities. They have increased the rates by over another 50%, and they offered much more conditions. But remember, the law allows us to give 7 days notice, and so they have failed to abide by the conditions of this contract. And so the PAM Secretary and Directors have met on it, and everyone here is in agreement that the project should be terminated. And so we are directing the Director Legal to immediately issue termination letter to Berger, giving 14 days notice, within which they should come for final account, final measurement, final account. We are also directing that the project should now be redesigned on reinforced concrete rigid pavement for a lifetime of between 50 and 100 years. And I am sure that the President will be happy if we do this project on reinforced concrete. And we are not to exceed the offer given to Berger. The offer given to Berger is at best the limit of our offer, unless we are bringing the total cost that is needed to put solar light in that section, which is a provisional sum, which is not, binding on Berger. Now that we're going to review it, we should bring the solar light so that the entire stretch will be lit up, increase security on the road, and then increase travel time even at night. This is the decision of the Ministry of Works. It's not my decision. It's not the decision of PAM Secretary. It's not the decision of one person. It's the entire decision. And so we like the public to note that we've done everything we're supposed to do to enable Berger to do this work. We are also aware of the political interferences on this project, but let Nigerians know that we mean well for the country, and let them know that if we accept the prices that Berger is giving, High Tech will demand for the same price, RUCC will demand for the same price, Mother Cat, CCCC, then Cetraco, all the companies will demand for the same price, and then there will be no achievement with the meager resources that is available for the road infrastructure. So please, before you attack us, you can come to the Ministry of Works. Before you attack us, please, you can come and see the correspondences almost on a weekly basis. There is no way you can dictate to the client. We've negotiated for 14, 15 months, and it is not working. So what is left for us? We have to terminate the contract. There is no agreement. And so we expect attacks, we expect people to misconstrue it, but none of our brothers or any company linked to us is going to bid for this job. Will we use the best to do the job? And the best is what the President wants for this job and wants for the entire country. So I want to thank the PAM Secretary very, very highly for all your efforts. Palm Secretary is from Kano, and his commitment is not because he's from Kano. That is his entire commitment in any part of this country as far as our job is concerned. And I thank the ministry workers working day and night, begging Beja to accept, but now we've come to the end of the road. We have to move forward. And if Beja will even accept, they must accept all the conditions we have put forward here. End of the game. End of the game. That is very important.
To thank Mr. President for this unprecedented decision, and to also warn other contractors that might think this ministry or Mr. President will not act. This president is an uncommon president, and any company that try us, we shall make the same treatment to that company in the best interest of the country. Nigerians deserve better, and the Honorable Minister and the staff of this ministry are hell-bent on ensuring that Nigerians get the best. Thank you so very much, sir, and then my chief as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.